Namaskar to one and all. We pay obedience to Sri Lakshmi Narayan, our temple deity, Sri Jaidebai Shukla, the resident priest of the Mandir and the spiritual guide for the Ramakrishna Vedanta Society, and our special guest today, Shri Radhikabhen Perumal, who will be giving us a talk a little later. We'll cover that. Today is the fourth day of our Ganapati festival. The first 3 days we were dark in terms of a live stream, but the people who were here at the Mandir certainly enjoyed the beautiful bhajans that Kiran Bhai and the Ramji Bhajan Mandal had rendered. So to kick things off today, we'll have some bhajans again from Kiran Bhai, followed by the talk with Shri Radhikabhen. Then we'll go into the Mandir Thar and Arti, and once the Thar and Arti are completed, we'll once again continue with some bhajans for another hour or so. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Kiran Bhai now. Namaste.
तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। गणेशाय नमः। गजानन्द देव गणपति देव, गजानन्द देव गणपति देव, गणपति देव प्रभु करूं तुम्हारी सेवा। गणपति देव प्रभु करूं तुम्हारी सेवा। 33 कोटि देवों मां प्रथम तुम्हारी सेवा। गजानन्द देव गणपति देव, गजानन्द देव गणपति गणपति देवा। माता जेनी पार्वती, पिता शंकर देव। माता जेनी पार्वती ने पिता शंकर देव। माता जेनी कौशल्या ने पुत्र राम जेव। माता जेनी कौशल्या ने पुत्र राम जेवा। गजानंद देव गणपति देवा। गजानंद देव गणपति देव। खावा જોઈએ મોતી લાડુ, ખાવા જોઈએ મોતી લાડુ, ઢેબર મીઠા મેવા. ખાવા જોઈએ મોતી લાડુ, ઢેબર મીઠા મેવા. લાંબી સૂંઢ એક દંતા, સૌથી શ્રેષ્ઠ દેવા. લાંબી સૂંઢ એક દંતા, સૌથી શ્રેષ્ઠ દેવા. ગજાનંદ દેવ ગજાનંદ દેવ ગજાનંદ દેવ ગજાનંદ દેવ. ગણપતિ દેવ ગજાનંદ દેવ. ગણપતિ દેવ ગજાનંદ દેવ. ગણપતિ દેવ. Must we carry on? अहो गणपति रे, अहो गणपति रे, विघ्न विनाशक देवा. હું કરું તમારી સેવા. અહો ગણપતિ રે, અહો ગણપતિ રે, વિઘ્ન વિનાશક દેવા. હું કરું તમારી સેવા, કરું તમારી સેવા. એના માથે મોંગટ શોભે રે, એના કાન કુંડળ જળકે રે. માતા પાર્વતી રે, ઓ માતા પાર્વતી રે, પિતા છે શંકર દેવા. હું કરું તમારી સેવા, કરું તમારી સેવાયો. ગણપતિ રે અહો ગણપતિ રે, વિઘ્ન વિનાશક દેવા. હું કરું તમારી સેવા. એની મૂર્તિ મોહક મન હરનારી, એની મૂર્તિ મોહક મન હરનારી, એને રિદ્ધિને સિદ્ધિ બેનારી. વારી વારી જાવું રે, વારી વારી જાવું રે, મૂષક વાહન દેવા. હું કરું તમારી સેવા. ગણપતિ રે ગણપતિ રે, વિઘ્ન વિનાશક દેવા. હું કરું તમારી સેવા, હું કરું તમારી સેવા, કરું તમારી સેવા, કરું તમારી સેવા. ઓમ ગણેશાય નમઃ. ચરણ કમળમાં રાખો ને મારી મતી. ચરણ કમળમાં રાખો ને મારી મતી. ચરણ કમળમાં રાખો ને મારી મતી. જય ગજાનંદ સિદ્ધિ વિનાયક ગણપતિ. જય ગજાનંદ સિદ્ધિ વિનાયક ગણપતિ. શુભ પ્રસંગે સમરે સૌને આપને. શુભ પ્રસંગે સમરે સૌ આપને. સુનિવર મુનિવર જોગ સત્યમ ને જતી. સુનિવર મુનિવર જોગી સત્યમ ને જતી. ચરણ કમળમાં રાખો ને મારી મતી. જય ગજાનંદ સિદ્ધિ વિનાયક ગણપતિ. પિતાની પ્રદક્ષિણા આપે કરી માત પિતાની પ્રદક્ષિણા આપે કરી માત પિતાની પ્રદક્ષિણા આપે કરી પૃથ્વી કેરી પ્રદક્ષિણા ગણાય જતી પૃથ્વી કેરી પ્રદક્ષિણા ગણાય જતી ચરણ કમળમાં ચરણ કમળમાં ચરણ કમળમાં ચરણ કમળમાં રાખો ને મારી મતી જય ગજાનંદ સિદ્ધિ વિનાયક ગણપતિ. માથે મુંગટ કાને કુંડળ જડહણે માથે મુંગટ કાને કુંડળ જડહણે જડહણે માથે મુંગટ કાન કુંડ જડહણે રિદ્ધિ સિદ્ધિ કેરયા પૂજ છોપતિ રિદ્ધિ સિદ્ધિ કેરાયા પૂજ છોપતિ ચરણ કમળમાં ચરણ કમળમાં ચરણ કમળમાં ચરણ કમળમાં ચરણ કમળમાં રાખો ને મારી મતી જય ગજાનંદ સિદ્ધિ વિનાયક ગણપતિ જય ગજાનંદ સિદ્ધિ વિનાયક ગણપતિ. વેદ શાસ્ત્ર પુરાણો ગુણ લગાય છે ગુણ લગાય છે ગુણ લગાય છે ગુણ લગાય છે વેદ શાસ્ત્ર પુરાણો ગુણ લગાય છે ગાય છે વેદ શાસ્ત્રો પુરાણો ગુણ લગાય છે ગાય છે ગાય છે નર હરિની વાણી આપની છે ગતિ નર હરિની વાણી માયાપ છે ગતિ ચરણ કમળમાં ચરણ કમળમાં ચરણ કમળમાં ચરણ કમળમાં રાખો ને મારી મતી જય ગજાનંદ સિદ્ધિ વિનાયક ગણપતિ જય ગજાનંદ જય ગજાનંદ જય ગજાનંદ સિદ્ધિ વિનાયક ગણપતિ ઓમ ગણેશાય નમઃ.
Wow, what soulful music that we heard from Kiran Bhai. It's gets you to your soul, you know. We usually used to the with the tabla and that. This is acoustic, unplugged, like you would not necessarily experience. Thank you so much, Kiran Bhai. We look forward to hearing more from you a bit later. Now it's time for our guest speaker. I'd like to call up Shri Radhikabhen Perumal. Just a little bit of history about our guest speaker. She left South Africa at the age of 17 to pursue Vedanta knowledge under the tutelage of Sri Swami Parthasarathi at the Vedanta Academy in India. Having completed the 3-year residence program that Swamiji has, she stayed on for another 14 years, consolidating her studies and, you know, deepening her knowledge and understanding. At the same time, she completed a BA in psychology, and a master's in literature in that same period. She's a very dedicated student and is most inspired to spread the word of Vedanta, the knowledge, the teachings. She holds weekly classes on the Bhagavad Gita, the symbolisms of our religion, and on the text that Swami Parthasarathi has written. Her talks are both online and in person. So without further ado, I'd like to call Sri Radhikabhen up, and if I may ask Jaidev Bhai to please do the tilak for her.
Hari Om, everyone. Hari Om. So the topic for today is Darmo Rakshati Rakshata, which means one who protects Dharma shall be protected. So when Rajan first called me and told me this is the topic, I'm like, really? Is this the topic? Because I've never heard this in South Africa before. So I was really impressed. I'm like, this is one of the key core values of Hinduism. Darmo, Rakshati, Rakshitah. If you ever have to learn a Sanskrit term, this is the Sanskrit term you should know. It means one who protects Dharma, Dharma shall protect you. One who protects Dharma, Dharma shall protect you. This quote is from the Dharma Shastras. So if you're aware, Hinduism has many scriptural texts. We have the 4 Vedas. We have the Puranas. Part of the Puranas, sorry. Okay. Am I too close? Oh, okay, sorry. So part of the Puranas, the section of Puranas, which is known as Smriti, the Vedas are known as Shruti. This Puranas is known as Smriti, that which has been heard. Part of this is the Dharma Shastras. So this quote, Darmo Rakshati Rakshata, comes from the Dharma Shastras. And it's very interesting to try to understand what is the meaning behind Dharma Shastra. The word Shastra means the treatise. It's a book. It has knowledge that is logical and scientific. It's not like someone just randomly decided to write a book. The word Shastras mean treatise. It's logically and scientifically written. The word Dharma, if you actually go through the Sanskrit dictionary, it is 3 pages long with 2 side columns, tiny writing, just explaining one word, Dharma. You can't loosely say, is Dharma righteousness? No, because Dharma also means nature. It means essence. It means duty. The word Dharma itself has so many meanings. So how does it apply to us? And this is what we're going to discuss. We're first going to discuss, where does Dharma Shastra come in? How does it apply to our lives? That's the whole point, right? Every religion has its philosophy. And, sorry. More closer. Okay. Is that fine? Okay. So if you look at the word Dharma, it means principle, it means law, it means truth, it means righteousness. It's a way of life. So the Dharma Shastras gives you the principle of life, how to govern your life, how to live your life. And this is where the quote comes from, the Dharma Shastras. Now, another aspect of the Dharma Shastra is that it speaks about one's roles, one's obligation. It gives you the script to it. It gives you the ashramas. The ashramas is the stages of your life. Every individual goes through 4 stages in their lives. It is known as brahmacharya, grahastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. Brahmacharya is when you are a student, you're going to school. That's a stage of your life. You're a kid, you're a teenager. It's a stage of your life. The next stage is known as grahastha, where you're a householder. You get married, you have kids. It's a householder. That's a stage of everyone's life. The third stage is vanaprastha. You don't want to really go out. You want to prefer staying in. You prefer going to bhajans. You prefer going to the temple. You become more withdrawn from the world. The last stage of one's life is known as sannyas, which is you become a renunciate. You become a recluse. So the Dharma Shastras takes into consideration the 4 stages of life and the role you play in it. And what's most interesting is, it's not one size fits all. Each and every one of us is different. Each and every one of us in this classroom right now, in this temple right now, is in a different stage of our life. We are all performing different roles. There's a good example to explain or to drive home the point of the different roles we play in our life, the different stages we play in our life. And the perfect example of this is Lord Rama. See, we all play different roles even right now. We're a father, we're a son, we're a husband, we're at work, we're an employee. So there's always, these talks about work-life balance. Dharma Shastras gives you the way in which you can work-life balance, in the way in which you can live a balanced life. And the perfect example of that is Lord Rama. Lord Rama was a warrior. He was a Kshatriya. He was a warrior. He was a son to his father, Dhritarashtra. He was a brother to his brothers, Lakshman. He was a husband to his wife, Sita. He played many roles. He was a king to his people. Throughout his roles, Lord Rama's life is one of the most interesting lives because it was not easy. He had the most amount of difficulties, the most amount of obstacles. From the very beginning stages of his life, he went through difficulties. He had to go into exile for 14 long years. Ravana kidnapped his wife. He had to go fight a battle in Sri Lanka. When he came back, his wife left and went into the jungle. He was not even aware that he had 2 sons. Those 2 sons came back and fought him in battle. Imagine, you did not know your own sons. Lord Rama did not know his own sons. His sons came back and fought a battle with him. Everyone talks about Ravana being this great demon. What most people are not aware of, he's one of the strongest opponents. Ravana was one of the most strongest opponents in any of the epics we go through. But Lord Rama went through the most amount of difficulties throughout his life. But he remained peaceful. He was not bitter. He didn't hate the world. He was peaceful. His wife left him eventually. Can you imagine which husband would walk thousands of miles to fight a battle and then his wife leaves him? He goes through so much of difficulties. There's no hatred. There's no bitterness. He only stands for what is right. They say that what Rama did, what Rama was, is Dharma. And this was the theme of the talk. What Rama did is Dharma. That means the way he lived his life, the way that every time he came into a situation where the different roles were in conflict. Was he to be there for his kingdom, or was he there, to be there for his wife? He came into a lot of conflict, but he was peaceful. He was happy. He took every obstacle as a challenge in life. He did not fall down. He is not Arjuna in the battlefield. Throughout the story of Rama, he fought and fought. The Dharma Shastras gives us the way in which we can balance our lives, the way in which we can take our roles, the stages of our lives. So the Dharma Shastras has your varnas, which is known as your caste system, and it has your ashramas, which is known the stages of your life. So with Lord Rama, he was able to balance it all. It then comes to a point where we're discussing these principles. What are these principles? Am I only going to find it in the Dharma Shastras? Now you're asking me to go and study another text? I don't have time for that. Nobody has time for it, right? Then there's one simple term that is used. It is known as Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma. In every religion, there are 2 aspects. The ritualistic, the rituals, and there's the philosophy, which we know as Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma means eternal principles. See, even Dharma here, it's so broad, it just means principles, law, the way in which we live our lives, how we live our lives. The word eternal is brought in because these principles are time-tested. What has applied in the past still applies today and will still apply in the future. That means these principles, the Sanatana Dharma, has never changed. Our rituals have changed. Our rituals have evolved from what we used to do 100 years back versus today. Ganesha Chaturthi is when you actually, the seeker, the person that is performing the ritual, makes the murti, the statue of Lord Ganesha, with turmeric paste. I don't know if anyone can even do that today. Personally, I can't even draw a stick man, so I don't think I can, carve a Ganesha out of turmeric paste. So what do we do now? We go and purchase the idol from the shop. Things have evolved, it's changed. That is the ritual aspect. It will change because rituals were given out to a set of people at a given time and period. It will evolve, it will change. But Sanatana Dharma never changes. It always remains the same, and these principles are what we apply even today, how we live our lives. There's even, when we're talking about how we live our lives, it's part of Hinduism, it's part of Jainism, it is part of Christianity. This Sanatana Dharma, these eternal principles, are part of every single religion. Every single religion has their set of principles, their set of laws. And it's the way we live our lives. It's what we practice, how we go about it. Another point, I'm just giving you a background on what Dharma is, because to explain how it applies in everyone's lives, right? So as I mentioned in the very beginning, there are 4 Vedas. The 4 Vedas is Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, and Atharvana Veda. Atharvana Veda states, the world is upheld by Dharma, the entire world. Not just the individual, but the entire world, the microcosmic and the macrocosmic level is held by Dharma. So even if you say Dharma is righteousness, it does not apply here. Dharma is law. Dharma is principle. So in Atharvana Veda, it states, Pritivam Dharmona Dhritam, which means the world is upheld by Dharma. It doesn't even say righteousness, it just says Dharma. The next point is, even in the Upanishads, throughout the Upanishads, whenever you're in doubt, choose Dharma. But it's not telling you what's the meaning. You've heard me say the word so many times right now. I said Dharma, Dharma, but I'm not giving you the meaning behind it. And the only way we can explain the meaning is go through certain stories, certain Puranas. You remember Lord Rama. So in the Upanishads, Kena Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, and Mundaka Upanishad states, whenever in doubt, whenever you have a choice, choose Dharma. Truth alone prevails. Truth alone prevails. And you're like, one day break, right? Just, you want me to practice truth and righteousness every single day, every single moment? Just give me one day. Firstly, it's not even practical, right? We give the excuse, there's some gray areas. You justify it. You don't understand. My situation is different from that person's situation. I can't always practice this. I can't always practice this. There's a Puranic story, and you can't. The next excuse is, I can't be a Lord Rama. He was great. You want me to be a Lord Rama? It's not possible, right? These are the excuses we give ourselves to why we do things in the gray area. Here they gives a story. There's a Puranic story about Harichandran. Harichandran was a king. He was a very great king. And he lived on the truth of, I speak only the truth, I live the truth. His teacher, his guru, was Vashishta, sage Vashishta. If you know sage Vashishta and sage Vishwamitra, they are known as the Sapta Rishis. We pray to them on Guru Purnima, right? So sage Vashishta was this guru to Harishchandran, the king. And he was great. He had everything. He had a huge kingdom. He had lots of money because he upheld truth alone prevails. I will live a righteous life. I will live a good life. So these gurus sometimes they get together. So sage Vishwamitra and sage Vashishta comes together with Lord Indra. And they're having the discussion. They're saying, it's not possible to always follow righteous path. Sometimes you don't know, we have to do what is, it's wrong, but it's for the right time at the right reason. We make these excuses. So sage Vishwamitra is saying, it is not possible. You see, it's very nice for a king to say, I will always follow righteousness. He has everything. He has full of money in his bank account. He has a big kingdom. He has people that are devoted to him. It's very easy for a king to say it. This is sage Vishwamitra's argument to sage Vashishta. I don't trust that Harishchandran, the king, will follow righteousness till the end. So, as you know, these sages like to play tricks. They like games. They want to test people all the time. So sage Vishwamitra goes, okay, let's test him. Let's see what King Harishchandra can do. So he starts to test him. And without hesitation, the first thing King Harishchandra gives him is all his wealth. He says, if you want the money, take it. I have full of gold, take it. And you're like, don't worry, he regrets it afterwards. No, he does not regret it. The first thing is take all the wealth you need. Then, he's still a king, right? Does it really matter if he doesn't have his wealth? The next stage is sage Vishwamitra takes his kingdom. Okay. Now he doesn't have a kingdom, he doesn't have money, but he still has his son. And sons are all golden boys. He still has his son and his wife. Then sage Vishwamitra goes, let's take that and see what happens to him. So sage Vishwamitra takes his wife and takes his son. Now, King Harishchandra is left with nothing. Is he still going to follow righteousness? The answer is yes. He still follows righteousness. Sage Vishwamitra is not happy because he's losing. The next thing is take away everything and sell him as a slave. Can you imagine, from a king's level, he's now gone to a slave level. Takes everything away. He is not bitter. He is not angry. He's pleasant. He's not happy, obviously. He's not jumping for joy. His family, he's lost everything. But he is not disturbed. He still follows righteousness. So all of you are now asking, so what? So what if he follows righteousness? He lost everything. How does he survive? The rule is the Dharma Shastras will make you pure. From moving a seeker from impurities to purity. The Dharma Shastras, living this righteous life, leads to purification, which later leads to moksha, liberation. So it didn't matter that Harishchandra lost everything, because in reality, he gained moksha, liberation. So this is the story of Harishchandra. Now, We've discussed so much about Dharma. I still haven't told you the meaning of it. And you're all looking at each other. When is she going to stop saying the word and give us the meaning? I can see it, don't worry. Now we've come to practical application. This is where, we're coming down now. Taken the knowledge, told you what Dharma is. I said I can't really explain it. But now we've come to practical application. What is the practical application? The first point is no double standards. What you don't want another person to do to you, you don't do to them. No double standards. This is like, but this is leftover food. When my maid comes, I have to give her the leftover food. You can't waste food, right? I'm telling you, this happens to everyone, right? But if you don't want that to happen to you, you don't do it to another person. First rule, if you don't want unrighteousness to be done to you, you don't do it to another person. This is what it means. This is the very first rule. How you treat other people. We always say, I didn't do this to this person, and why are they treating me like that? Somewhere down the line, we have done that to somebody. We reap in the benefits. We reap in the karma from it. So the first rule is no double standards. The second one is, if you don't follow the laws, be prepared to meet with the consequences. If you don't follow the laws, be prepared. If you decide that you want to drive on the left side of the road, this is South Africa, right? You drive on the right side, right? Right? Okay. Right side. Sorry, I'm not a very good driver, as you can tell. Right side. So if you decide tomorrow to drive on the left side of the road, what's going to happen? You're going to meet in an accident, right? It's obvious. If you drive without your license, you will meet with an accident. Sorry, if you drive without a license, the police will catch you, basically. The Waze app is not going to help you. The police will catch you, right? So if you're not prepared to follow the law of life, this is with reference to the entire microcosmic level also. If you take too much instead of giving, see, there's this concept that, has anyone done pranayamas here? Yeah? No? They tell you to, if you breathe in 3 seconds, you must breathe out 6 seconds. You breathe in 3 seconds, you breathe out 6 seconds. The reason this is there is that you take in less, but you give out more. This practice of pranayama is not restricted to just breathing. It's not restricted to just breathing. It is with reference to every aspect of our lives. If we eat too much, what happens? Can't function, right? We have to do those exercises. You have to, as much as you eat, you must do the exercises if you want to have a healthy body. If you let out too much of emotions, all the time you're crying, what will happen? Too many Kleenex boxes will get wasted. But apart from that, people will leave because they cannot handle it. So this rule of taking in 3, taking out double, it means you must give back to the world twice as much as you take in. And that's how you are following the laws of nature. Okay? The next point is, this is a famous one because it's now everywhere on Facebook, and my auntie, she has WhatsApp. Every morning she'll send me a WhatsApp message, good morning message. And the good morning message will read, gratitude. Has anyone seen this? Gratitude. Have gratitude. Now there's something known as gratitude journals. Write down what you're grateful for. We only, for 2 years, we said, oh no, we don't, we now realize how grateful we are during COVID, right? We're so lucky we have a roof over our head. You understood the cost of oxygen. We've been getting it for free. No one gave us a bill at the end of our life saying, this is the cost for oxygen. We had it for free. Then you buy oxygen tanks. We're buying too much of everything. So we were grateful at that point. We forgot now, it's been 2 years. There's this law that says the gravitational pull in the world is precise. It is precise to the millimeter. That's how precise it is. If it was too high, if that gravitational force was too high, the entire universe will change, it will go into a ball and just go shoop. The entire universe, if that gravitational force was a few milliseconds off. If it was too low, it will split the entire world. If it was too high, it comes together and it'll just swoop. If it was too low, it will just split the entire world. This is what we have to have gratitude for. See how Dharma changed from how you live your life to how you approach your life, how you see your life. So gratitude is the third principle. The fourth principle is performing your obligatory duties. Sounds very easy. Perform what you ought to do. There's a term known as swadharma. Swadharma means one's own nature. What are you good at? What do you like to do? Are you a teacher? Do you like to be a teacher? Then do that. Just perform what you ought to do. What is your skill? What is your nature? There is something known as swadharma, which means one's own nature, and paradharma, which means another's nature. And this is very important. It means you have to perform what your skill is, what your nature is. If you are a teacher, you teach. That is your skill, that is your profession. But if you take a skill of another, you are not meant to be a teacher, but you decide, I want to be a teacher, or I want to be a doctor, because if you become a doctor, you get better money, and you can buy that car, and you can buy the house. You do the work based on the fact that you will earn better money. You are taking the dharma of somebody else. You're taking the nature of somebody else. Paradharma means duty of somebody else. Swadharma means your own nature. It is your skill. It's what you're meant for. You know, the Rajan mentioned, even though I studied in India for so many years, I still went to university and had studied my degree. My degree was on psychology because I was interested in it. From a very young age, I had that interest for psychology. You know, if there's any youngsters here, I will tell you, I always wanted to be a dark phoenix, to be able to read other people's minds. It's just, everyone has this very inherent tendency of who you want to be. Whether it's going to be a teacher, whether it's going to be a chef, whether it's going to be a baker. We have this nature within us. That is known as swadharma. But if you do not follow your swadharma and choose to follow someone else's, which is paradharmic, it's not who you are. It doesn't come naturally. When you do that, the entire system is off balance because you are frustrated, you're angry, you're agitated. You don't want to go to work. It's not a place that you like to go. You only go in there because it makes you money. You're agitated, you're frustrated because we have not chosen our swadharma. With reference to this concept of choosing your skill, there's also another point to note. You might be doing your swadharma activity, but in a very unrighteous way. My swadharmic activity is to rob the banks, so let me rob it. You know, Radhika said, you have to find what you are good at. So do that only. Yeah, I'm very good. I can manipulate it. I know exactly, you know, Ocean's 11 here. I know exactly how to rob a bank. So we decide to rob a bank. No. If you perform your swadharmic activity, it has to be for the betterment of others. It has to be beneficial to everyone around you. So there's a little hiccup there, you know. It's not just performing what you like to do. I like to bake chocolate cake, so I bake an entire chocolate cake and I eat it myself. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to bake that chocolate cake and give it to your neighbor, or give it to Radhi. She likes chocolate cake. Whatever works. But the idea behind it is you have to do it for service to another, service to your community. The next point is you act for a higher ideal. You act for a higher ideal. Action is known as the insignia of life. If you do not perform action, you will not be able to live your life. Has anyone read Gulliver's Travel? Do you remember when, no? It's an old book, Gulliver's Travel, right? And there's one point where the human who's said to be the giant falls down. He just falls down. And all these small, men like Oompa Loompas, all these small men come and they start tying them up and, starts poking him and prodding him because he's just lying there. He's just lying flat there. If you do not perform action, if you just lie flat for how many days, how long would you survive? You'll end up getting bed sores. Then eventually, if you're not moving at all, you'll end up getting ants crawling all over you. Things are biting you. Action is the insignia of life. If you see running water, it's fresh, you can drink it. But if the water is still, it's dirty. Does anyone seen what happened in Durban? The Amgeni River, it's dirty. The fishes are dying. No movement. The fishes are dying because it's dirty. That will happen to your body. If you do not start functioning, if you do not act, it will literally rot. And we all said, we never not act, right? There's no such thing as no action. So when they say no action in the Puranas or in the Vedas, it means no useless action. When I was like, no, I'm very active. I'm always doing something. But then you hear the point, it is useless action. It's not just no action. You can't perform useless action. And what is useless action? Instead of studying, you rather Netflix. You rather watch Netflix and binge through a series. Or go to ZTV and watch your favorite programs. I know I have my granny. She loves watching a TV series. He's saying, if you have another job to do that serves others, instead of doing that, you are sitting and you're doing useless action. It doesn't benefit anybody. It benefits only us. Don't worry, we all go through this phase. I also sit and watch Netflix. I'm not against it. I'm just saying, instead of doing something else, we're doing useless action. We're doing harmful action. Action that harms another person. So the fifth point is that all actions have to be beneficial. It's for a higher ideal. What does a higher ideal mean? It is not self-centered interest. There is no self-centered interest. There is no me, myself, and I. And then you're like, hey, you've given us so much principles, so much of points we have to take down and remember. I'll give you the basics when it comes to action, especially higher ideal, unselfish action. Tomorrow, I'm looking at all the men now. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, you make the coffee instead of your wife making the coffee. That is unselfish actions. Work for a higher ideal. You work for somebody else. You start with your family. You make the coffee instead of the wife making the coffee. But now I heard Johannesburg, things are opposite. The men makes the coffee. Sorry, I'm still in Durban time, okay? All the men are looking at me. Oh, she can't be saying this right now to us. So no. I understand. The point I'm trying to make is swap it around. You be of service. You take the kids to school instead of the husband or the wife taking it. So unselfish actions starts with the family. It then moves to your society, to your community. So you don't have to do something great and big, give like Bill Gates, give millions to a charity. You just have to start with yourself. You start small. You don't have to do big, great, oh, I don't have the money. No. It is about intention. It is about how much you care. It's about identification. To identify with another person. Okay? The next point is surrender and devotion. To have that surrender and devotion, not just to God, but to all living creatures. To have that love. See, love and devotion is the same emotion. Love is to everyone. Devotion is to the higher, to God. When you love everyone, this is the next quality. But Radhi, my mother-in-law, you've not met her. If you meet her, then you'll understand. There is no exception to the rule. There is no exception to the rule. You love everyone. You care for everyone. But see, there's a little catch here. When we say you love everyone, doesn't mean you suddenly start going and hugging everyone. You'll get into trouble. No, you're not doing this. You having a sense of identification with another person. You understand the troubles that they go through. You are happy when they are joyous. You feel what they feel. That is the gratitude we are discussing here. When you are able to perform actions unselfishly and have gratitude, have love and devotion, you are reducing your karma and you purifying it. You actually use the karma that you have right now, you're reducing it by performing unselfish actions. See, instead of me eating that chocolate bar or the chocolate cake, I give it to somebody else. When I do that, my own desire reduces and I get happy for giving it to another person. Everyone's like, really? The example is, have you seen kids? I had my niece over. She's 4 years old and she's so cute. They're cute at that age. After that, I don't know. But at 4 years old, they're very cute, right? So she had chocolate. I had chocolate, a bowl of chocolate there. So I said, her name is Kayura. I said, take whatever chocolate you want to take, and have it. So I'm thinking she's going to take the chocolate and just put it in her mouth. She takes it, she holds it in her hand, she looks, she starts walking with it. So I'm thinking she's going to mess my bed. The chocolate in your hand is going to get melted. So I just follow her. I follow her. She takes the chocolate. Imagine you give a kid a chocolate. You expect the first thing to do is put it in their mouths, right? She didn't do that. She took the chocolate and she went and gave it to her brother. And she's so pleasant. She's smiling. She's a pleasant child. And you can see it on her face when she gives it to her brother. Yeah. And I didn't offer like a whole big bowl. I just told her to take one. She wasn't sure whether she's going to get the next one. But she shared it. And when she shared it, she was happy. She was smiling. But when you see a child when he doesn't want to share, this is mine. Don't take it. It's mine. You fight for the TV remote. I've done that also. You fight for the TV remote. It's agitation. Unselfish actions will reduce your karma. Devotion and love will change the quality of your karma. So remember I said, if you perform dharmic activities, it leads you to moksha. This is how dharmic activities will lead you to moksha. The next point is, which this is actually one of my favorite points, is that in Hinduism especially, these great saints and sages have perfected the art of divinization. We all assume, why do we have so many gods and goddesses? Why do we have this? Why do we have that? They have divinized every single aspect. From the time we are born to the time we are die, we are doing pujas. How many pujas we do? Before the baby is born, there's pujas. After the person has passed away, there's pujas. There's just continuous prayer. Everything has been divinized. The 5 elements have been divinized. We have the sun god, Lord Indra. We have the wind god, Vayu. We have the water god, Varna. Now, there's no actual god pulling the sun with the 5 horses in the chariot. There's no such thing, but we believe it. It's divinized. Why? Why are these 5 elements divinized? I'm just getting one aspect. I'm just explaining the 5 elements being divinized. And then we go on to why the gods and goddesses have been divinized. Why are these 5 elements divinized? It's because to have that devotion, because if we did not have their devotion, we will abuse it. We will abuse it. We will use it for whatever means we want. We have no concern. Now when you see in Durban going through the water problems, we're like, no. When you're brushing your teeth, you must close the tap and brush your teeth. We don't waste water. Don't waste electricity. You don't know ESCOM is going to put the prices high. Don't waste electricity. We say this to each other, right? These concept of divinizing the 5 elements has been part of the Vedas. There's one, I remember when we went to the academy, this is the first thing I heard. And I thought, oh, what nonsense is this? It was, do not cut a tree down because you'll be killing 100 Brahmins. I'm like, it's a tree. What's that got to do with cutting 100, killing 100 Brahmins? What's the equation there? The point is, what are you taught today? Plant a tree. Right? Everyone in school, especially now in school, plant a tree, take care of the tree, take care of the environment. This is being part, this do not cut a tree down, when there were millions and millions of trees. They're telling you, don't cut a tree down. That was thousands of years ago, because these great saints and sages had a penetrative view of life. They were able to see the future, that we will misuse everything. We will not consider the future. We will not consider life. So when you take too much from the world, now you think, oh, we need to build the trees, or you know what's happening with water, this, that. Why do you think COVID has happened? Misuse. We abuse the planet. It will come back. Too much of anything. We took too much from the world. We took too much, and that's the truth. That it had to come to a point where we had to be locked down and prisoned because we polluted the world, we took too much, we destroyed the ecosystem. This is why the 5 elements itself was divinized. So you have that reverential devotion towards it. And when you have that devotion towards it, you won't misuse it. What is the first prayer you say in the morning? Anyone? It's to the sun god. The very first prayer in the morning is to the sun god. When you sit and you eat your meal, it's a prayer. And now I don't know if everyone's doing it, but it is there. The first prayer is to the sun god. When we sit down, we're grateful for what we eat. It's not like, my wife cooked bitter gourd. Bitter gourd, you know what it is? Kerala. Kerala? Yeah? Yeah, my wife cooked this again. How can I eat it? Let me try to camouflage it. No, you're grateful for the food on your table. That's the attitude, yeah. So when it divinized the 5 elements, the idea behind it is that you have devotion. You have gratitude for what you have. They then went on to divinize in every aspect, all the gods and goddesses, is to direct a seeker towards liberation, moksha, self-realization. Every aspect of every god. If you look at Lord Ganesha, he has a rope. Does this Ganesha have a rope? He has 4 hands, and one hand has a rope in it. Everyone assumes that, Lord Ganesha is just randomly holding things in his hand. No. The rope is to pull a seeker from adharmic activities, from unrighteous activities. Lord Ganesha has the rope. Lord Vishnu has the disc. He also has a hammer. If you do anything wrong, they say he will whack you with a hammer. Not literally. if you do anything wrong, if you do adharmic, unrighteous activities in the world, you will meet with the shocks and knocks of life. Lord Vishnu has it. Lord Ganesha is a little bit nicer. He will pull you out of it. Lord Vishnu will give you one whack. But Lord Ganesha, he's cute, he pulls you in. That's the rope. The axe, he holds axe in one hand. The axe is to cut off all the negativities, all the bad feelings, my neighbor, you must see how she does this. She don't clean the house properly. I can see it from my window. The yard, you must see the yard also. She don't care. Her grandchildren make so much noise. The axe is to cut the negativities off. The next point is, on one hand, he holds the lotus. Why? What's the lotus? The lotus is the national flower of India. Why? Because it's a sign of perfection. If you are able to pull yourself closer to God, Brahman, if you are able to cut through the negativities, what is it? Live a dharmic life. You are able to gain purity. And that purity, that state of moksha, liberation, is signified by the lotus. The next hand, he has 4 hands. The next hand is a modak. Has anyone tried a modak before? Oh, in Maharashtra. So we stayed in Maharashtra for a couple good years. So all the time we used to get modak. Basically, it's a puram poli that is steamed, but it's made with rice. So inside is like the sweet coconut, and the outside is like a dumpling. If you want the recipe, I'll give you later, okay? But the idea behind the modak is, it's sweet, it's joyous. When you attain the state of moksha, when you attain that state of liberation, what we know as freedom, you will be happy, you'll be joyous. You want to share that with everyone. The way you live your life, if you live your life a dharmic, righteous way, if you follow these principles, the entire world will follow you. And you're like, seriously? Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is still studied today. What he said in the Bhagavad Gita is still studied today. Everyone will follow you. It will not just be at your lifetime, it will be forever. So, these gods and goddesses are only divinized so that we change our focus from the world, from adharmic activities to dharmic activities. Another way to say is that adharmic activities do not take you towards God. If you say to yourself, my grandmother used to tell me this, when we put our red string, for Lakshmi Puja, she'll tell me, you should look at it, and if you're going to do something wrong and you think God would not like it so much, then don't do it. It's a very simple thing, right? But it means to live a dharmic life, a righteous life. If you think your mother or God is watching you and you won't do that action, then you got your answer. It's a wrong action. It's an unrighteous action. So if you practice these principles, these are the practical tips, you will be able to live a dharmic life. You'll be able to gain moksha. You are then prepared for liberation. So, with the theme of the talk was Darmo, Rakshati, Rakshitah. So even though I didn't give you a direct definition of Dharma, I explained it in every aspect. Okay? Hari Om, is there any clarifications?
Namaste, Radhikabhen. Firstly, on behalf of all of us present here, I'd like to extend our deepest congratulations on a wonderful discourse that you have given. A round of applause, please, for Radhikabhen. Thank you so very much. Radhikabhen, my question is that we tend to hear a lot of good things, a lot of positive things, a lot of energizing things, but it goes in one ear and comes out the other ear. So what I'm asking, Radhikabhen, is that how does one practice to enrich your life positively with good thoughts, good actions, and good speech?
It's an actual practice. You have to start. So in the very beginning, when I went to the ashram, we had all these new rules, new regulations. We had to adapt. We had to change, right? So that's why I gave the example of the gratitude journal that has now come out. The first thing in the morning you write what you're grateful for. What is a good thing? You have to mentally try to, if you heard Vedanta, the knowledge of Vedanta before, we talk about the mind and the intellect. It is the mind's tendency to disregard what is good and hold on to what is negative. It is the mind's tendency. We've all gone through it. It's not just, I'm standing on a pedestal and telling you, do this. I've gone through it too. Especially, you live in an Indian community, you're going to listen to negative, oh, this auntie did that and that person did that. You don't know. I've heard these stories. And I'm one of those, children that go and sit by the aunties and listen to all the conversations. So we've all gone through that. So what I do now is I try to practice what I preach, in the sense, whenever you hear a negative thing, you say to yourself, have I done that? What can I do to improve myself? Instead of taking the negativity and, projecting it on another person, I say to myself, have I done that? At any stage of my life, have I done that? First question. The second question is, if I was in that position, what would I have done? If I was in that person's position, who we talking so badly about, they did this, you can't believe she did this. Now put yourself in that person's position. Take into consideration everything that they're going through. The family problems, the work problems. Take into consideration everything. Put yourself in that person's position. What would you do? We might have made the same decision as that person, which we now criticizing and saying is bad. So the idea behind it is, as I said, when we went to the ashram, we learned all these new things, but we had to practice it. So what we should do is, it's a very silly thing, but it helped. We kept post-its of what we thought was good, what we thought should change our pattern. Because we brought up in a certain pattern, we conditioned. When we hear something good, we say, it's only for the time being. You don't know. ESCOM just took out load shedding. Tomorrow they'll bring it back. You must just watch. And when they bring it back, they'll bring back 4 hours. I've also had the thought. You understand? But instead, you try to change it up. You try to see what, at least you have lights at certain points of time. See the positive in it. But it is a practice. And it's something we need to learn. So post-its, gratitude journals, that help. But the focus should not be on me, myself. It should be on benefiting others. When you change the attitude, change the intention, it's a practice because the mind has been conditioned. It's been conditioned for years and years and years. Now you're telling the mind, you have to change. You know what will happen? When you tell a child, don't do something, and you scream at it, what happens to the child? The child gets angry, it throws a tantrum. It's vengeful. The mind can do that also. So you have to be very careful how you change the mind because it's conditioned a certain way. So it's practice. You have to literally try and implement it in your life. Whenever you see yourself getting negative, Netflix, I gave the example of Netflix. I also have this thing, because now you can watch all the movies one after the other. You don't have to stop. You tell your time, you put a timer on your phone, I'll stop at this time. As soon as that time comes, you stop, you wake up, and you come out. When something you hear is not beneficial, you wake up and leave. We've actually done this. When we've heard unnecessary negative talk, we wake up and leave, because it's not conducive. There's something known as satsang. It means to keep in good company. The company you keep, the environment you keep, should be that of good, that of pure. And if you put yourself in situations where you know very well you're going to get agitated or frustrated, don't put yourself in the situation. So all these are like practical tips. It helps to change the mind and how it works. Is that okay? Okay. Is there anything else?
Radhikabhen, I was contemplating in asking you this question already this morning. I said, when I do listen to your discourse, and if there is question time, I was going to ask you about how Dharma is involved or it affects the financial world, the business world. You see, and in your discourse, I think most of the answers have been given for that. One example, like, you find right now we're having taxi wars. Now that's where they breathe in 6 seconds and they're breathing out only maybe 1 second.
Exactly. That's exactly what's happening with reference to the world, is even companies, if they don't have that attitude of service and sacrifice, they will destroy themselves. They will meet financial crash. And in America, we've seen it. In India, I don't know so much about South African business, but I can tell you the example of India, Kingfisher. They were all about pushing forward, pushing forward, pushing forward. It's all about what we can get, what we can get. They went large scale so quickly, they crashed. So I don't know much about South African business, but it's the same thing will apply. When they take too much from society, you'll find the layoffs, you find, the company itself will crash. It will happen. It is. So you are right. It's the same principle applies even in the financial field. And that's why even in America, you've seen the financial crash was there in Wall Street. So yes, you're right.
Jai Shri Krishna and Radhikabhen, thank you for the discourse. I just want to ask, sorry, is it on? Yeah. Yeah. We're surrounded by so many hypocrites out there that claim to be practicing Dharma. And yet, what really happens is they're just being superficial. So how does the innocent person deal with that type of situation?
So the first point I mentioned is no double standards. So your concern is myself. How do I conduct myself? Make sure I'm not the hypocrite. There's going to be, people will be people. That's their own journey. That's their own path. The most concern, that's why even these, the practical tips I gave, it deals with you, the individual, how you deal with it. Now, as I said, even when I was speaking to the other gentleman, is see where they're coming from. Understand. See, one of the major points which I mentioned was the ability to have love and identification. You see a snake, you understand a snake. You understand the snake is going to hiss, the snake is going to bite. Are you going to go to the snake and say, hello, snakey? You're not going to play with the snake, right? You understand the snake, you see the snake. You admire the snake. If you can see the snake has different colors, they have different patterns, you admire it. When you see a little kitten, then you'll go, cute kitten, because the nature of a kitten is to be sweet, calm, composed. But you won't go and pet a snake. You have to make that assessment. You have to understand that person. You have to understand where they are coming from. There are going to be people who are going to be hypocrites. You understand, there's a quote that says, happy and blessed hour when wickedness stands forth, revealed as goodness bereft of a guide. It means goodness bereft of a guide. Meaning, they have not been educated on what it is to be truly dharmic, truly righteous. They haven't been given the right value system. When you see it as that, you understand. It's like how you see a child in the entire Puranas, in the Vedas. They say people are like Balaha, ignorant children. You must see the person who's committing that sin as a child. They don't know any better. They haven't been taught any better. They haven't been educated on how to live a better life. So you see it from a place of understanding, but you still know how to protect yourself. You assess the person, yes, he's a snake, so you protect yourself. This is how you contact. This is how you relate to them. And you understand that they just haven't been educated better. Is that okay? Okay. Yes.
Thank you so much, Radhikabhen, for a very practical approach to understanding what is Dharma. There's two aspects. I'd appreciate it if you could perhaps just expand a little bit on it. The one is, as Javibai had said, I mean, we've heard this, but it's not always easy to practice. You have responded to that, but the need, say, for regular systematic reminders of this, the regular systematic approach to understanding Dharma, that's the one aspect. And perhaps a little bit about how does this protection come when one follows Dharma? How may we see it manifest, this protection?
Okay. So, your second question was, how does we see the protection come? And the first one was?
The systematic reminder or how can we establish the practice of Dharma?
So, I'm going to sound a little bit like a broken record because you must have heard this. Study of Sanatana Dharma, these eternal principles. And you know what these eternal principles are? Vedanta. The study of Vedanta, the study of the knowledge of the self. It has to be implemented at least once a week in your life. Go for a Bhagavad Gita class. Go to a Vedanta class. It's to implement these knowledge of oneself in your day-to-day life. Even if it means just sitting and listening, you have to implement it. If it means coming to the temple twice a week, make sure you come to the temple twice a week. You are enforcing the study, you're enforcing the devotion. And what I'm telling you, it's most likely like a broken record because your brother must have told you, you must have heard Swamiji say this 100 times. But even for us, I was in the academy for 14 years, 18 years altogether. We were protected. We had the atmosphere where everyone was doing exactly the same, but you were not. You're out in the world. You are in either the financial work. This is Joburg. Everyone is in a rush. Everyone is rushed here. Everyone is fighting. It's almost like it's a battle, right? It's like Kurukshetra battle is Johannesburg for me. Personally, for me, it's like that. It seems like everyone is always out to get something, they need something, it's always urgent. Even in this field, right now in Johannesburg, I have to mentally enforce myself to make sure I implement myself. You understand what I'm trying to say? Even from a person that's been in an ashram, to ensure that I don't slip, I have to do double more work. I have to continuously be alert, be aware. Do you know, I mentioned Sage Vishwamitra. He always used to do these, bets and try to trick people. He was one of the sages at the height of meditation. He has fallen for a old lady. He fell at the height. Can you imagine? He's almost at the tip. He's going to self-realize. And he fell. Someone as great as Sage Vishwamitra at that level was fallen. That means we should always err on the right side, protect ourselves. And the only way you can protect yourself from adharmic activities is through study of Vedanta. Whether you don't have to attend my classes, you can attend any classes. Or even pick up the book yourself. Pick up the book and ensure that you read it for 20 minutes in a day. In the morning, just read for 20 minutes. Start with 20 minutes. Then pick up for 1 hour. You will pick it up. That, especially if you do it in the morning, you're almost charging yourself for the rest of the day. So this is another practical tip. I don't want to give it because it seems like, come to my class. No. Take any scriptural text and read it for half an hour in the morning. Any text. Or if you want to attend the classes, you can. The next point is, you will be protected. You will literally reap the benefits. Materially, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. At all levels of your personality, you will reap the benefits of performing dharmic activities. At the material level, you don't need it, but you will get it, is wealth. You will get more wealth. King Janaka was said to be his actions were righteous. He was known as one of the richest kings, King Janaka. You will gain the wealth, you do not need it because your thoughts are on the higher. What does wealth have to do? Right? A lot of people say, all these swamis, you know how much money they have? The reason is their thoughts on the higher, they are not concerned about the money. Their thoughts are on God. Right? Materially, you will be taken care of. Emotionally, you will not go through stress and strain. You will not be frustrated. You will not be angry. Because again, you are doing unselfish activity. No unselfish person is unhappy. It's a law, it's a rule. Look at it. When I gave you the example of my little niece, she's just always pleasant. Because she has that giving nature. You want to be around people like that, right? You don't want to be, when you go to that uncle's house, you know he's going to ask you for that, he's going to tell you, try to fix him a job. You don't want to go to a place where someone's going to take from you. Selfishness, right? So at the emotional level, you will not go through that strain, the suffering, the agitation. At the intellectual and spiritual level, you will be able to gain moksha. You will also be protected from harmfulness. All these saints and sages, you wonder how they survived it all. This World War II happened, all the sages were in Himalaya, they were fine. Nothing happened to them, right? How? How did all this, even theoretically, you will be taken care of. You will never feel wanting. And no harm will be done to you. Actual harm. Because your nature is so pure, no one will harm you. Is that okay? That's how you protect it. You will flourish in every aspect. Is that okay? I can't hear, sorry.
Namaste, thank you. Why is there so much sort of conflict that we currently experiencing throughout the world? Wherever, you just look around, family problems, just generally there's just so much conflict.
is because we have done harm. When I gave the example of breathing in 3 times, taking out 6 times, double the amount. We have taken so much from the world. We have destroyed the balance. We have destroyed the balance. You know, all the Swamis are telling you, fast on a Saturday, good luck will happen. No, we're telling you to fast on a Saturday so you let go of that strain of what you're doing to the animals. 12 billion animals are killed in like a month or a week. In a week, 12 billion animals. For what? Taste. For taste. We slaughtered 12 billion. We don't like to admit it. We fast on a Monday, we fast on a Tuesday and a Thursday. That's enough. But we are still killing 12 billion animals a week. We will have to reap the effects of that karma. So you want to know why this is happening? Why did COVID happen? Compared to the 12 billion animals we're killing in a week, how many people died? I'm not negative and saying, oh, how can you say this? This is human beings. The animals are just animals. According to Vedanta, according to the scriptures, animals have life. And as soon as animals have life, you are killing that life. You are taking the life. I'm not saying you. In the bigger picture, when this is a very interesting conversation I've had with my parents. So I'm originally from Durban, and we used to live in Merebank. We still live there. There used to be avocado trees. Did you all know this? Have you ever heard of this? Especially in Durban, there used to be huge avocado trees. Now we go to Woolworths and spend, 100 Rand for 4 avocados. So I'm asking them, what happened? What happened? They all chopped those 3 trees down because they wanted to build a swimming pool for their children. Indulgence. We chopped trees down unnecessarily because we wanted to swim in the pool. Now the kids are all grown up and staying in Johannesburg. They don't come back to that pool. That pool is getting dirty. You want to know why chaos has happened? It's because we have taken and taken and taken and taken. We have destroyed the balance in the world. When you destroy the balance in the world, you will have to reap the effects of it. It sounds very harsh, but what we have done is harsh. What we have done, even now, why is everyone so conscious about electricity? Because it's been taken from you. Before that, you leave the lights on, you sleep with the lights on, you forget the TV is on. How many times have we done that? Forgotten the TV is on. But now, Eskom has come and made sure you switch everything off. Even switch the geyser off, you're not using it. We pushed into the situation because we've just taken and taken and taken and taken. Chaos will be there. We've created that imbalance. We've created that destruction. Nobody else. When I say we, I mean all of us. So that's why to have that consideration, it's not just to people. It's to animals. It's to the 5 elements. It's to the world. To the point that you don't kill an insect unnecessarily. You don't kill any animals unnecessarily. You don't be cruel and hurtful towards any animal, whether it's your dog, whether it's your cat, whether it's a chicken, whether it's a cow. Is that okay? Okay.
Thank you very much, Radhikabhen, for that most thought-invoking discourse. It leaves a lot for us to think about and some very good practical tips of what we should put into practice. As part of our tradition that we have at the Mandir, we do a Guru Dakshina. So I would like to call upon Dimple Ben Ravji to please come forward to do a Guru Dakshina for Radhikabhen. and then leading into the thar and the arti piece.
Jai Radha Madhav Jai Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhav Jai Kunja Bihari
Vraj Janaram
Lakshmi Narayan Bhagavan ki jai, Lal ki jai, Diya Shakti Ambe Vaya Vishwatana Gurunarju Vishwambar Virasi Thari Premati Vida Vida Name Vami Thai त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव. लाल की जय, आद्य शक्ति अम्बे मात की. ओम जय जगदीश हरे प्रभु जय जगदीश हरे. भक्त जनों के संकट भक्त जनों के संकट क्षण में दूर करे. ओम जय जगदीश हरे. जो ध्यावे फल पावे दुख विनसे मन का. प्रभु दुख विनसे मन का. सुख संपत्ति गरया सुख संपत्ति गरया. कष्ट मिटे तन का. ओम जय जगदीश हरे. मात पिता तुम मेरे शरण ग्रह में किसकी. प्रभु शरण ग्रह में किसकी. संसारसारं भुजगेन्द्रहारं सदा वसन्तं हृदयारविन्दे भवं भवानि सहितं नमामि। मङ्गलं भगवान् विष्णु मङ्गलं गरुडध्वज मङ्गलं पुण्डरीकाक्षो मङ्गलायतनो हरि सर्वमङ्गलमङ्गले शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरी नारायणे नमस्तुते नारायणे नमस्तुते नारायणे नमस्तुते। बोलो लक्ष्मी नारायण भगवान की जय। कृष्ण कन्हैया लाल की जय। आद्य शक्ति अम्बे मात की। श्री गणेश गजानंद की जय। सद्गुरु देव की जय। ओम नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव हर। रिद्धि सिद्धि ना देव गणेश तुझने सो कहता। गणेश तुझने सो कहता। करि पहला चरण प्रणाम गावहूँ तारा गुणगान। करि पहला चरण प्रणाम गावहूँ तारा गुणगान। गणेश सबने कहता। गणेश तुझने सब कहता। गणेश तुझने सब कहता। गणेश तुझने सब कहता। रिद्धि सिद्धि ना दे गणेश तुझने सब कहता। गणेश तुझने सब कहता। मूषक ऊपर स्वार बनीत काल ने कब जो की धो। मूषक ऊपर स्वार बनीत काल ने कब जो की धो। जगनी सो छानी बातों कागद काढ़ी दौरे। जगनी सो छानी बातों कागद काढ़ी दो। तू सौने सुख देना दुखड़ा सौना शिर वहना। तू सौने सुख देना दुखड़ा सौना शिर वहना। गणेश तुझने सौ कहता, गणेश तुझने सौ कहता, वो रेत से इतना देव, गणेश तुझने सौ कहता, गणेश तुझने सौ कहता। मात पितानो आदर राखी प्रदक्षिणा ते कीधी, मात पितानो आदर राखी प्रदक्षिणा ते कीधी, देवो मं पहलो यावी, सौ मातो पूजा तो रे, सौ मातु पूजा तो ते कीधा काम सदा आगळ चेतानु स्थान, ते कीधा एवा काम सदा आगळ चेतानु स्थान, गणेश तुझने सौ कहता, गणेश तुझने सौ कहता, ओ रीत से तेना देव, गणेश तुझने सौ कहता, गणेश तुझने सौ कहता। ગજાસુરને હણવા માટે તે અવતાર લીધો તો, ગજાસુરને હણવા માટે તે અવતાર લીધો તો, હાથીનું મસ્તક ધારી તું ગજાનન કહેવાતો રે, હાથીનું મસ્તક ધારી ગજાનન કહેવાતો રે, એ શિવજીનો જ પ્રસાદ, એ શિવજીનો જ પ્રસાદ કહેવાતો સોનો તું નામ, કહેવાતો સોનો તું નામ, ગણેશ તુझने સૌ કહેતા, ગણેશ તુझने સૌ કહેતા, ઓ રીત સિદ્ધ ના દેવ, ગણેશ તુझने તું કહેતા, ગણેશ તુझने સૌ કહેતા। एक दंत आँखों श्रद्धान, अर्ध बुद्धि बतलावे, एक दंत आँखों श्रद्धान, अर्ध बुद्धि बतलावे, एज बतावे ना बुद्धि थी, श्रद्धा थी समझा तो रे, एज बतावे ना बुद्धि थी, श्रद्धा थी समझा तो रे, सौ देव करे छ प्रणाम, तारी कड़ा तणो नहीं पार। सब देव करे छ प्रणाम, तारी कड़ा तणो नहीं पार। गणेश तुझने सो कहता, गणेश तुझने सो कहता। ओ रित्य सत्य नादे, गणेश तुझने सो कहता। विघ्नो दूर करे छ जगना, विघ्नाशी सो कहता। विघ्नाशी सो कहता, विघ्नो दूर करे छ जगना, विघ्नाशी सो कहता। रिद्धि सिद्धि मुख मरुदीन, वक्रतुंड कहवातो रे। रिद्धि सिद्धि मुख मरुदीन, वक्रतुंड कहवातो रे। बस मागू एक जुवात, बस मागू एक जुवात, सदा रह जे मुझ हृदय नाम। बस मागू एक जुवात, सदा रह जे मुझ हृदय नाथ। गणेश तुझने सो कहता, गणेश तुझने सो कहता। 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 गणेश तुझने सो कहता, गणेश तुझने सो। गणेश तुझने सो, गणेश तुझने सो कहता। Dharam Kaka used to say, okay, Ramana, take one. No, we can finish off any time, you say. So we'll do one more and then we can do the arti for Ganesh. Hello. वाली गाई ये गणपति गणपति शङ्कर सुवन भवानी नन्दन शङ्कर सुवन भवानी नन्दन तेज प्रताप महाजगवन्दन तेज प्रताप महाजगवन्दन गाये गणपति जगवन्दन गाये गणपति सिद्धि सदन गज बदन विनायक सिद्धि सदन गज बदन विनायक सिद्धि सदन गज बदन विनायक कृपा सिंधु सुंदर सबलायक कृपा सिंधु सुंदर सबलायक मांगत तुलसीदास कर जोड़ मांगत तुलसीदास कर जोड़ बसहि राम सिया मानस मोह बसहि राम सिया मानस मोह गाये गणपति जगवन्दन गाये गणपति जगवन्दन गाये गणपति जगवन्दन गाये गणपति जगवन्दन गाये गाये गणेश गजानन की आरती रे आरती उतारो गणेश नाथ की Say again. No, I've got a copy here. The thari, you haven't done it yet? I have to record you people, when you don't have this thing. गजानना गजानना गौरी पुत्र गजानना 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 गौरी पुत्र गजानना 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 पार्वती को गजानना गजमुख गजमुख गजानना पार्वती पुत्र गजानना 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 गौरी पुत्र गजानना गौरी पुत्र गजानना 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 गौरी पुत्र गजानना 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 गौरी पुत्र गजानना 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 बोलो सरस्वती मात की जय।
Timing.
मेरे स्वरों को अपना स्वर दो, मेरे स्वरों को अपना स्वर दो, घाव में तेरी वाणी, घाव में तेरी वाणी, मेरे कंठ बसो महारानी, महारानी कंठ बसो महारानी, मेरे कंठ बसो महारानी, महारानी मेरे कंठ बसो संगीत तुम्ही हो जीवन का, संगीत तुम्ही हो आशाओं का दीप तुम्ही हो जीवन का, संगीत तुम्ही हो आशाओं का दीप तुम्ही हो। शब्द सुधा से सावन भर दो, शब्द सुधा से सावन भर दो, मैया जग तू उधारी, मैया जग तू उधारी, मेरे कंठ बसो महारानी, मेरे कंठ बसो महारानी, महारानी, महारानी। सरगम का ताल भी दे दो, लय और ताल को ज्ञान भी दे दो, स्वर सरगम का ताल भी दे दो, मेरे शीश पे हाथ धरो माँ, मेरे शीश पे हाथ धरो माँ, सरस्वती कल्याणी, सरस्वती कल्याणी, मेरे कंठ बसो महारानी, मेरे कंठ बसो महारानी। शब्दों को रस दे दो, मेरी कला को आशीष दे दो, नीरत शब्दों को रस दे दो, मेरी कला को आशीष दे दो, मेरी कला को हो मैया, तुम सागर में बूढ़ हो मैया, तुम चंदन हम पानी पानी, तुम चंदन हम पानी, मेरे कंठ बसो महारानी, महारानी मेरे कंठ बसो महारानी, महारानी 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 मेरे कंठ बसो कंठ बसो कंठ बसो कंठ बसो सरस्वती नो 7:30 वागे છો શંકરનાથન પધારો પાર્વતી નંદન પધારો પાર્વતી નંદન કરો ચંદન અને વંદન પધારો પાર્વતી નંદન તમે છો શંકર નાથન પધારો પાર્વતી નંદન કરો ચંદન મને વંદન પધારો પાર્વતી નંદન. પુષ્પની માળા સ્વીકાર गमता मन गमता धरावो मोदक मन गमता सदा रह जो हृदय रमता धरावो मोदक मन गमता सदा रह जो हृदय रमता सदा रह जो हृदय रमता करो पाद प्रक्षालन करो पाद प्रक्षालन पधारो पार्वती नंदन करो चंदन अने वंदन पधारो पार्वती नंदन बनीने 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 राम भक्त रहो पुनित चरणों सदा चाहो बनीने राम भक्त रहो पुनित चरणों सदा चाहो पुनित चरणों सदा चाहो पुनित चरणों सदा चाहो पुनित चरणों सदा चाहो करो तन मन धन अर्पण 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 पधारो पार्वती नंदन करो चंदन वंदन पधारो पार्वती नंदन तमे छो शंकर नातन पधारो पार्वती नंदन पधारो पार्वती नंदन पधारो पार्वती नंदन पधारो पार्वती 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 गणेश गजानंद की जय। बोलो गणेश गजानंद की जय। जय गणपति देवा प्रभु जय गणपति देवा। प्रेम थकी प्रभु तारी, प्रेम थकी प्रभु तारी, करिए नित सेवा। जय गणपति देवा। विघ्नेश्वर वरदायक शंभु सुखदाता, प्रभु शंभु सुखदाता। प्रथम तुम्हारू पूजन, प्रथम तुम्हारू पूजन, करिए विभद्राता। जय गणपति देवा। शुक्ल चतुर्थी तिथि मास ज भादरव, प्रभु मास ज भादरव। सकल भक्त ये स्नेह, सकल भक्त ये स्नेह, उत्सव आदरवो। जय गणपति देवा। भाव धरी प्रभु तार, आरती उतार, प्रभु आरती उतार। दिनकर जोड़ी विनवु, दिनकर जोड़ी विनवु, कर सहोनो सारो। जय गणपति देवा। विघ्नेश्वर नियार, जे कोई गाश, प्रभु जे कोई गाश। उमा वचन प्रतापे, उमा वचन प्रतापे, कैलासे जाशे। जय गणपति देवा। जय गणपति देवा प्रभु जय गणपति देवा। प्रेम थकी प्रभु तारी, प्रेम थकी प्रभु तारी, करिए नित सेवा। जय गणपति देवा। कर्पूर गौरम करुणावतारम, संसार सारम भुजगेन्द्रहारम। सदा वसन्तं हृदयारविन्द, भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि। मङ्गलं भगवान् विष्णु, मङ्गलं गरुडध्वज, मङ्गलं पुण्डरीकाक्ष, मङ्गलाय तनो हरि। सर्वमङ्गलमङ्गले शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके, शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरी, नारायणी नमस्तुते, नारायणी नमस्तुते, नारायणी नमस्तुते। बोलो गणेश गजानंद की जय। श्री लक्ष्मी नारायण भगवान की जय। कृष्ण कन्हैया लाल की जय। आद्य शक्ति अम्बे मात की जय। सद्गुरु देव की जय। ओम नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव हर। ओम द्यो शांति, अंतरिक्षं शांति, पृथ्वी शांति, आपः शांति। औषधयः Everybody passed the music test. It's his birthday.
Namaste. Thank you very much to the Sri Ramji Bhajan Mandar for those beautifully rendered bhajans. Special thanks again goes to Radhikabhen for her wonderful discourse this afternoon, and thank you to all who tuned in on the live stream, as well as to everyone who's come here to the mandir. It was really nice to see so many people coming through, and just also a word of thanks to our streaming team, Anish Bhai, Vimal Bhai, and Jaimal Bhai, along with Bhavik Bhai, who have come to help us. And thanks to Temple Ben for doing our Guru Dakshina earlier. And thank you always to Jaidev Bhai for always being our support and our guide through all these functions. And please do join us again tomorrow for the Visarjan. It will be live streamed from 10 o'clock. 9:30. It will be live streamed. So please do join us at the mandir, and then also on our way to the site where we were, to the river. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much again. Namaste, and have a pleasant evening. Bye.
Ganapati Bappa Moria, Mangala Murti Moria, Ganapati Bappa Moria, Mangala Murti Moria, Ganapati Bappa Moria, Mangalamurti Moria, Ganapati Bappa Moria, Mangalamurti Moria. अहो गणपति रे, अहो गणपति रे, विघ्न विनाशक देवा, હું કરું તમારી સેવા. अहो गणपति रे, अहो गणपति रे, विघ्न विनाशक देवा, હું કરું તમારી સેવા. તારે માથે તે મુંગટ શોભે રે, તારે માથે તે મુંગટ શોભે રે, તારે અંગે ભૂષણ શોભે રે. शंकर